Alright, hello citizens of the Nigelverse. It is Nige here once again, and uh, and oftentimes, and what we wrestling fans talk about is we talk about people who aren't world champions yet, but definitely will be, and have the capability to be someday. People who seem like they should have had the top prize popped on them, like much earlier. But then there's also those who we feel that definitely should be world champions at some point. And because of that, I've concocted a list here, essentially. A list of who I believe to be future world champions, and like people who I think um, will definitely hold world championship gold at some point in their careers, and to the point where it'd be criminal if these people did not hold championship gold, world championship gold, that is, in their careers. They might have held mid card titles, but at the world championship, shooting for the top is definitely the goal for these people. So, what I've done is I've concocted a list of and this is for both WWE and AEW, who have 20 people in total, 5 men and 5 women, and 10 for WWE and 10 for AEW, who I feel will definitely be world championship material at some point. And some exclusions I made. Excuse me. For starters, yes, the women's titles usually do kind of count as world championships. Admittedly, it's kind of a gray area kind of thing, but since there isn't really an established mid card world title, and because like at least one of the championships for the women on the main roster are being called the Women's World Championship, I decided to include them. So, that includes the main roster women's titles and NXT Women's Championships. As for the men, if they were excluded if they held any world championship, that being the WWE Championship, Universal Championship, etc. But also if they held the NXT Championship. Reasons for that being is that the NXT Championship is actually considered a world championship. Fun fact. Now, admittedly, it did start to be considered a world championship after I believe it was Bobby Roode's reign, while he was holding the title. In fact, I think it was when they introduced that new design to where it looked more like a world championship. Instead of like the big X, it has like that circular design, as is akin for a lot of world championships. So, with that in mind, I know NXT champions is there as well. And admittedly, and this is only like pertaining to WWE and AEW as well, and kind of the same rules apply. The only thing being for AEW, who I'm also not counting people who have held the TBS Championship or the TNT Championship, stuff like that. I'm talking about the Women's World Championship and the AEW World Championship. And admittedly, when it comes to WWE, the NXT UK Championship was also kind of a gray area, but since apparently that might not be considered a World Championship, I decided not to include that. But otherwise, everyone else is fair game. So now that we got the ground rules, let's start with WWE. So, who are the 5 men that I think will hold World Championship gold at some point in the future? The first elect I had, and admittedly this was kind of a tough list to come up with. In fact, if I had to list every person who I thought would definitely be a suitable candidate to be world champion, this discussion video would be like probably hours. But I narrowed it down to 5 for WWE and AEW. But no more dilly dallying. Let's get right into it. Starting with our first name here in WWE, and this first pick of mine, it's probably not a shocker to a lot of you. I would say Gunther Gunther definitely has not just the skill set, but also the presentation of a world champion. And when he comes out to the ring, he has pretty much the cool entrance. Not a whole lot of flash or pizzazz because it doesn't really need it. It's the light and the silhouette, and that really cool introduction by Ludwig Kaiser. But in the ring, Gunther is an absolute beast. And him holding championship gold just feels right. He's definitely elevated the Intercontinental Championship quite a bit. And there was a reason he was so unstoppable when he was NXT UK champion, and why it took about 3 or so years, or about 2 years, I should say, 2 or 3 years, for him to actually get pinned and or lose a match, that is. And the reason why he hasn't lost yet since he's been on the main roster. Another fun fact. And that reason being, he definitely has like the presentation of a world champion. Like him imagining him holding a world championship, it just feels right, and it definitely will come to pass in the future, or if done right. It's hard to believe, like every time you think of Gunther and you think of his success, whether as Gunther or as Walter, or wherever you think of his success, and then you hear that Vince McMahon wanted to bury the guy because of kind of one and kind of iffy, awkward segment he had. It's ludicrous. It's absolutely ludicrous. But Gunther definitely will hold the World Championship gold. The next one is Solo Sikoa. Solo, again, and similar presentation-wise, he's doing phenomenal, especially in the confines of the Bloodline storyline. I'm definitely someone who I imagine they already have pegged him as a future main eventer, and I can definitely see it. He has a very good skill set. He's got the Samoan spike and everything. Of course, the tribute to Umaga. He is part of the Samoan bloodline dynasty in WWE, so that gives you extra perks. Not like they haven't earned it, of course, but Solo definitely he is over with the crowd. He's an absolute beast. He's even so in NXT. And the fact that his NXT North American title run was so short, is pretty upsetting. And although I do understand it's because he got called up. I think he got called up, appeared at Clash of the Castle, then won the title. Then they had to take it off of him because he was being called up. Like, what was the point of him winning the title in the first place then? And I imagine one of the two was the last minute decision, either him being called up or him winning the title. And I'm going to go ahead and go with him being called up probably was the last minute decision. But Solo, definitely I can see him being a main eventer, and I can see him holding World Championship gold. Definitely. He definitely hits hard, built like a tank and everything. And plus, he's got this extra boost with the spotlight through the Bloodline storyline. So he's got that extra boost for him. So when he really does break out on his own on the main roster, we already got like a little taste, a little sample size in NXT. But when he really breaks out on his own on the main roster, he's going to be phenomenal. Not just as a main eventer, but also as a world champion contender and as a world champion. Next up is going to be, actually put two people here. They're from the same team. Both these people, admittedly one of these people was kind of the inspiration for this video in the first place, but both these people definitely can be pegged to be world champions in the future. And that is Damian Priest and Dominic Mysterio, both of the Judgment Day. Now, hear me out, at least when it comes to Dominic. Damian Priest, though, let's talk about Damian Priest for a second. And dude is a big dude who is agile. That already gets you points in my book, and in a lot of people's book. Like, big dudes who are agile, who people love. And Damian Priest definitely exemplifies that. He's pretty solid in the ring, can put on really good matches, really good at promos. He's got the nice deep voice necessary for good promo cutting. And he definitely, and you can see them kind of teasing at that a little bit, not just with him being Mr. Money in the Bank or Senor Money in the Bank, but also teasing the ascension between him and Finn Balor, and truthfully the rest of the Judgment Day. And and you can tell they definitely have big plans for him. In the future down the line. He's someone that I'm sure they'll be more than happy to strap the rocket to. He will have earned it. He's really super talented. As for Dominic Mysterio, you may be thinking, Nigel, are you insane? And Dominic, the little annoying runt, running around with the Judgment Day. Yes, as Dominic, it is a petulant child, a little annoying runt in the Judgment Day. And that's really what's going to set him up for success, because he's really been a breakout star, especially under like the Triple H regime. Dominic has definitely come into his own, turning heel, being part of the Judgment Day, exploring him a little bit more, giving him main event time, giving him promo time. The crowd absolutely hated him, really adding dimensions to his character, and the fact that he's also talented in his own right in the ring. And Dominic, I don't think Dominic's gonna hold it in like the next year or so, at least World Championship Gold. But he definitely will at some point. He is being. You can tell they're setting him up for big things in WWE so far, and that is great to hear. And I feel like him breaking away from his father, or still being part of the Judgment Day, but really coming into his own, I think was the best decision for him. The next candidate I have is Jey Uso, who may or may not be on his way out of the company. But anyway, Jey Uso, definitely similar reason for Solo Sikoa. The only difference being Jey Uso has obviously been around longer. But Jey definitely being established, being pegged as a main event talent, getting a lot of shine and a lot of spotlight throughout the Bloodline storyline. And as things have progressed within the Bloodline storyline, and as he's really solidified himself as a character and as a main eventer, of course, main event Jey Uso, definitely coming into his own, being allowed to really stand on his own is going to set him up for world title success as in the future. Or it does suck that the Usos probably aren't going to be around for a while. I'm sure they'll reunite at some point down the line, as teams often do. But for now, Jey being built up in a big way. And the way the story's been set up, he feels believable as a main event contender. Or even though I kind of figured Jey Uso wasn't going to win at SummerSlam, and a lot of people did, for many people, and for some moments, you felt it. You really were convinced he could and probably would beat Roman Reigns, and that's how you know you've set him up well, and they're a believable contender for the main event slot and the World Championship slot. And Jey definitely has risen to the occasion, and I'm sure he definitely will once he holds World Championship Gold high. And then, and the last candidate I have for the men in WWE, and you're probably going to roll your eyes and groan at this, Cody Rhodes. Yes, I know. People going on about finishing the story. He sounds like insane rambling up to this point. But despite what happened at WrestleMania, despite some of the setbacks and everything, I do still think they will pop a world title on Cody Rhodes at some point. He's still being presented majorly as the American Nightmare. They're still building up the story of him finishing the story, although I don't know what story he's going to finish at. Does he even know what story he's going to finish at some point? He's probably going to read a book and say that's finishing the story, but I do think Cody probably will finish the story at some point. And will bring World Championship Gold to his family name. His father couldn't do it. His brother couldn't do it. Cody probably will be the one. Admittedly, they probably blew their load a little bit too early, having him win the Rumble and face Roman at this WrestleMania, just for him to rematch and possibly beat Roman at next year's WrestleMania. But I'm sure Cody, definitely is earmarked for the World Championship slot. But now we move on to the women, who I think will become women's champions at some point. The first select I have is Dakota Kai. Yes, she's on the shelf right now, but I definitely do feel Dakota Kai will be women's champion at some point. They teased that before her down in NXT. When she had her feud with Raquel Rodriguez, but I do think Dakota Kai probably will hold championship gold at some point, especially because now 2/3 of Damage Control have held women's championship gold. Hold at some point in time. Io's the current champion. Bayley has held it in the past, so I'm sure Dakota's turn will come up. King Coda definitely will have her time in the spotlight. Next elect is Candice LeRae. The fact that she hasn't won women's championship gold in NXT or on the main roster yet is admittedly kind of criminal. I like Candice LeRae. She's pretty talented. It of course married to Johnny Gargano, everything. Was part of the way. I'm surprised she didn't win it while she was part of the way in NXT. But her and Indy were women's tag team champions, and so that's something, I guess. But I'm sure she definitely will win it at some point. They just gotta book her better, and they gotta book the whole women's division better. But that's a topic for another time. And next elect is Cora Jade. She definitely got a lot of momentum after she turned heel and turned on Roxanne Perez, and they had their feud and everything. And now, for the most part, she's still kind of there, but I'm sure she will come back up in the limelight and probably will win the NXT Women's Championship. Probably not from Tiffany Stratton, because that's also a heel, and they probably don't want to do heel versus heel. But I'm sure Cora Jade definitely will. They'll win championship gold eventually in NXT, and the generation of Jade, I should say, will come to pass. As next up is Gigi Dolan, and admittedly, Gigi Dolan, and I probably could have put /JC Jane in, perhaps they kind of haven't been as prominent after their feud with each other, after the breakup with Toxic Trash and everything once Mandy Rose left. But I do think Gigi Dolan and JC Jane probably will hold NXT Women's Championship gold at some point before they head up to the main roster. And I definitely think they probably will pop it on them eventually. And the last candidate I have for the women is Piper Niven. Why has she not been women's champion yet? And why was she due drop? Why was she due drop for multiple years? She's now women at the time of this recording. She just unveiled herself elected herself as the new partner for Chelsea Green now that Sonya Deville is injured. Sonya Deville, hope you feel well soon, of course. Hers that Sonya Deville is injured. But how has Piper Niven not been women's champion yet? But I'm sure she definitely will hold it at some point. But now we move into AEW territory. So who do I think will hold World Championship gold in All Elite Wrestling in the future? The first name I have, which is a tad bit coincidental, but not really, because they've been teasing at it a bit with his feud lately. But Ricky Starks is my first select, and Ricky Starks really has that it factor, or to make it as a world champion. And the thing is Ricky Starks is talented in the ring, but also has a load of charisma, which will definitely make him a viable world champion. And you can feel it in the promos he cuts and pretty much every time he steps on the ring, even the entrance. And Ricky Starks definitely will be world champion at some point. And they kind of been teasing at it with his feud with CM Punk and everything going on, but he definitely will. Next up is Darby Allin, and this one and the next one I have pretty much day ones. T teased at it earlier with the whole 4 pillars. four pillars feud that happened at Double or Nothing in this year, but Darby Allin definitely a workhorse, or is definitely a crowd favorite. Definitely probably will hold World Championship gold at some point in AEW. But next up is Sammy Guevara. Sammy Guevara, super talented. Say what you want about him as a person, but Sammy Guevara, super talented. And another day one, now really breaking out on his own, now that the Jericho Appreciation Society is seemingly no more. So Sammy Guevara, I'm sure, definitely will hold World Championship gold at some point. It's only a matter of time. Maybe another year or two from now, but he definitely will. But next up is Adam Cole, baby. Hey, and they teased that as recent as recently with the whole feud with MJF and the whole team up with them and everything. But Adam Cole, I'm sure, definitely will be world champion at some point and being built up in a huge way. Has been featured on TV in a kind of major, not like main event feuds, but at least major notable feuds. I probably should say, since he came back from his injury, so he probably will hold World Championship gold at some point. And the last one is Bryan Danielson. Now, admittedly, this is kind of cheating. The loophole is that Bryan Danielson hasn't held a World Championship in AEW yet. He's held it obviously in WWE, but Bryan Danielson, I'm sure it's definitely only a matter of time. In fact, it might be a matter of when he's no longer injured. Obviously, he and MJF had their Iron Man match at Revolution, and you can check out my reviews of Revolution and Double or Nothing on the channel. So if you haven't already, go check those out. But Bryan Danielson, I'm sure, is a matter of time before they pop it on him. Now for the women, the first select up I have is Saraya. People are kind of split when it comes to how they feel about Saraya. Of course, Saraya, the former Paige, but I'm sure they will pop it on her at some point. I'm surprised they haven't done it already, but I guess they didn't want to do it right away. But I'm sure they definitely will pop it on her at some point while she's with AEW. Next up is Ruby Soho. Ruby Soho. Again, similar to Saraya, it's only a matter of time. The fact that she didn't win the women's championship while she was in WWE as Ruby Riott does kind of suck. But hopefully she probably will win it in AEW. And next up, I have Willow Nightingale. Willow Nightingale, the stuff I've seen from her, admittedly, I don't know too much about her, but some of the stuff I've seen, I like it. And I mean that in, I haven't really followed her career up to this point, not really super familiar with her, but I'm kind of getting more familiar with her the more matches of her I've seen. Stuff in the ring, I like what I see. She's definitely over with the crowd, I'm sure, and she's being built up in a big way, especially as she's fighting the Outcasts. So I'm sure they definitely will pop the championship on her at some point. Next up is Anna Jay. Anna Jay, been kind of getting a build up as of late. Even battling for the women's championship as recent as last week Wednesday, against Hikaru Shida. But I'm sure, definitely he probably will. He might have to. And I imagine this will probably be easier now that the Jericho Appreciation Society isn't anymore. Or don't have her go back with the Dark Order, even though Dark Order are heels and stuff now. Or maybe have her go back with Dark Order, but build her up as her own. Really get her to the main event spot, and I'm sure she'd probably do fine as a world champion in AEW. And then last but certainly not least is Jade Cargill. Only one loss in her career. She went undefeated while TBS champion, and now lost the TBS championship to Chris Statlander. I imagine that was probably the litmus test for her potentially becoming a women's world champion at some point down the line, and I imagine it's only a matter of time for her as well. But ladies and gentlemen, those are the names that I have elected. The people who I am touting will be the world champions in the future. If any of these people don't win the world championship, if well, aside from a couple of them, maybe it won't be a complete loss, but these are definitely people you definitely want to keep an eye on, who I'm sure they probably will pop the world championships and slash their respective world championships on at some point in the future. But that's going to do it for this discussion video. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor. Like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends, turn on post notifications so you know every time I upload a video so you can see as soon as it drops. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on the video and my picks, and who do you think is a future world champion. And I know there's a lot of names I forgot for both the men and the women, for both WWE and AEW. So let me know who you would want to see as a future world champion, even if it's someone I didn't mention in the video. But thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Peace.